that he's a Netflix producer, along with his 8 adult wife, Michelle. He's producing more racial division. The latest is called Leave the World Behind. It's a fictional thriller about the collapse of technology and what humans would do with no phones or computers. The movie follows a family on vacation at a rental house, and one night they're visited by a father and a daughter who show up seeking shelter. They say their phones no longer work and they need a place to stay. So immediately the white family, because they're evil, that's included in their DNA of course, is suspicious of the visitors because they're black. And it goes on and on and on like this. Here's a clip.
I'm asking for you to remember that if the world falls apart, trust should not be doled out easily to anyone, especially white people.
Can't trust white people. They're evil. This is the guy, remember, who became famous at the Democratic Convention in 2004 by telling us there is no white America, there's no black America, it's just one America. But of course, that's not really a profit model in politics, is it? So he's been stoking race hatred ever since, and the disarray around us is the result.
Reports claim that senior Obama administration officials orchestrated the Russia collusion hoax, stating, out of respect for the office of the presidency, our office does not normally dignify the constant nonsense and misinformation flowing out of this White House with a response. And he called the allegations outrageous and ridiculous, a weak attempt of distraction. He said, nothing in the document issues last week undercuts the widely accepted conclusion that Russia worked to influence the 2016 election but did not successfully manipulate any votes.
The story of Barack Obama is the greatest marketing campaign in political history. He wasn't just a president, he was a brand, meticulously crafted and sold to a hopeful nation. The image was perfect, a calm intellectual, a unifying orator, a symbol of progress. But the product America received was far different from the one advertised. Behind the flawless facade of soaring speeches and staged perfection, a very different story was unfolding. It was a tale of corporate coziness, secret wars, and stunning hypocrisy. While the mainstream media canonized him as a saint, figures like Tucker Carlson and Patrick Bet-David have been pulling at the threads of a myth that is finally starting to unravel. This isn't a partisan attack, it's a demolition of the illusion.
Okay, wait, so how did that end? Like,
same way. You get off, you finish smoking.
Talking about Obama saying every man needs a gay friend. So Obama goes
Barack, call me, buddy. Call
on
me.
his wife's podcast, okay? And they're sitting there having this conversation, and it opens, they covered a lot of different things. Right off the bat, they talked about the divorce. Hey, aren't we supposed to be getting a divorce and all this stuff? Just tell me if this seems like they woke up together in the same bed.
If you're enjoying this video, please make sure to subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon. If irony had a spokesperson, it would be Barack Obama walking out of a $1 million speech about wealth inequality in a...
It all began with a single, powerful promise. In 2004, a young state senator from Illinois captivated the world by declaring there was no black America and no white America, only the United States of America. That speech wasn't just a political moment, it was the launch of a global phenomenon built on the idea of unity. Now, fast forward to today. That same man is a Netflix producer, and one of his flagship projects is a film called Leave the World Behind. The movie is a tense, racially charged thriller where a central character explicitly states that in a crisis, white people are not to be trusted. The contrast is jarring and impossible.
Did you see the video of Biden at the debate in 2007 announcing that Barack Obama had an AIDS test?
I know Barack got tested for AIDS.
Oh, it's the funniest video ever. Biden said, well, I think, AIDS is a real problem in the African-American community.
And the community's engaged in denial.
And I think we should all get AIDS tests. I mean, Barack Obama had an AIDS test.
I know Barack got tested for AIDS.
There's a cutaway of Obama being like, I hate you.
It's an important thing.
Then Biden's like, which is totally good.
The man who built his career on erasing our divisions is now profiting directly from them. This wasn't a gradual evolution, it was a stunning reversal. It forces a disturbing question: was the promise of unity simply the first and most effective sales pitch in a long and calculated campaign? The man of the people narrative was the cornerstone of the Obama brand. He spoke with deep empathy about the struggles of ordinary Americans as Wall Street burned in 2008. He made people believe that help was on the way for them, not for the powerful.
Cy Hirsch piece. Here's the cliff notes. Obama colludes with Nancy Pelosi and Hakeem Jeffries and Schumer. Sunday morning calls Biden and says, you're done. Kamala's gonna 25th Amendment you, and you gotta step aside.
And who places the call?
Obama.
Obama does.
So Obama calls the sitting president and tells him, you're done. Then tells Kamala Harris, you're gonna be the nominee, but if you don't gain traction, if you're not popular, we're gonna take you out too. I mean, it's all shocking. It sounds
But once in power, the script flipped. His administration orchestrated the largest corporate bailouts in history. The very financial institutions that ignited the crisis were saved with taxpayer money with almost no strings attached. Very few executives faced any real consequences, while millions of Americans lost their homes and savings. The story, however, gets even more cynical after his presidency. The man who supposedly stood up to Wall Street began accepting speaking fees of over $400,000 a pop from the very same banks he had bailed out, firms like Cantor Fitzgerald and Northern Trust. The supposed adversary had become a highly paid employee.
I know it's hard to keep faith when a family member still hasn't found a job after months of trying, or another foreclosure sign's hung on the house down the street. And you're watching TV and all you see are politicians tearing each other down and pundits who treat politics like a sport. I know it can be discouraging, but don't ever let anybody tell you this fight isn't worth it.
This newfound income funded a lifestyle of staggering luxury. He and Michelle signed a $65 million book deal and an enormous Netflix production contract, ultimately purchasing a sprawling $12 million waterfront estate in Martha's Vineyard. The champion of the common man was now living a life utterly disconnected from their reality. But the hypocrisy wasn't just financial, it was a matter of life and death. In 2009, in a move that shocked the world, Barack Obama was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. He was celebrated as a global symbol of diplomacy before he had even completed his first year in office.
So Barack Obama, who really is a heartless monster, and I'm glad that's clear to everyone now, described the rape of a child as phony right-wing outrage?
This is what, he's talking about, parents being up in arms in Virginia and basically claiming it's all cultural war stuff. First of all, I never really cared about the fact that this is transgender. The bigger issue here is that school districts do not have the same priorities.
This Nobel laureate was perfecting a new and terrifying form of warfare. He dramatically expanded the American drone program, authorizing more covert strikes in his first year than his predecessor did in 8. He personally reviewed and approved a secret kill list, making him the final arbiter of who would live and who would in shadowy operations across the globe. His foreign policy was a graveyard of broken promises. He vowed to close the notorious prison at Guantanamo Bay, yet he left office with its doors still open. He drew a symbolic red line in Syria against the use of chemical weapons and then did absolutely nothing when it was crossed. The peacemaker brand was a powerful illusion, masking a ruthless commander-in-chief.
Barack Obama, I was there. I knew Obama. He ran against all that stuff.
Yeah, he did.
Right? Iraq was the bad war. Afghanistan was the good war. And he ran a campaign against that. But he ended up throwing into prison the guy who told the truth.
Perhaps the most audacious of all his promises was the pledge to run the most transparent administration in history. He promised to protect whistleblowers and usher in a new era of government openness. It was a key part of his pitch for hope and change. What America got instead was a surveillance state of unprecedented scale. The revelations from NSA contractor Edward Snowden were earth-shattering. The government was secretly collecting the phone records and digital data of millions of its own unsuspecting citizens. The man who promised transparency was presiding over the ultimate betrayal of public trust.
Agree with a lot of stuff with Obama, and he was a big contributor to dividing the country in many different ways. But I think he's a guy that's probably, in his circles, probably a good guy. In his circle, think about if he's in his own community. And he's probably gone through a lot of shit as well,
His war on transparency didn't stop there. His administration used the century-old Espionage Act, a law designed to prosecute spies, against whistleblowers and journalists more than all previous presidents combined. He didn't just fail to deliver on his promise, he actively waged war against the very people who tried to hold his government accountable. Throughout his 2 terms, a series of scandals that would have destroyed any other presidency simply vanished from the headlines. The mainstream media acted as a protective bubble, allowing him to emerge from every controversy completely unscathed. He became known as the Teflon president because nothing ever stuck.
Then Biden's like, which is totally good. And I think he's negative, but I mean, all men should get an AIDS.
There's no shame in being tested for AIDS.
Obama is so mad.
I just got to make clear, I got tested with Michelle.
Everybody in Democratic politics, they all think that Obama is on the down low.
There's actual evidence for this. I mean, because
I'm aware.
David Garrow's biography he wrote about, he got the letters where Obama was admitting his gay fantasies to a girl that he was seeing.
There was Operation Fast and Furious, a reckless scheme where the U.S. government knowingly allowed firearms to be sold to dangerous Mexican cartel members. The operation backfired horribly, and one of those guns was used in the Dia-Ath of U.S. Border Patrol agent Brian Terry. The scandal was buried. Then came the IRS scandal, where the agency was exposed for systematically targeting conservative and Tea Party groups, effectively using the power of the state to hamstring his political opposition. And who could forget Benghazi, where an organized terror attack on a U.S. consulate was initially and falsely blamed on a protest over a YouTube video. Each time, accountability was nowhere to be found.
Bush leaves after 2 terms. Obama gets elected.
Yes.
And he's very much the peace candidate. He's for transparency.
Well, I like to say that it was Saint Obama that came down from the heavens
right.
into the White House
Black
to save
Jesus
us.
returns.
That's right.
And but he's very much I remember in fact being on television saying, he was this wild-eyed peacenik lefty guy.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, he wasn't.
Oh, he wasn't.
Patrick Bet David watches the left treat Obama like a demigod while quietly pointing to the receipts. Not just the policy.
Beyond the political scandals, there were the whispers, rumors about his personal life that were deemed too explosive for the public but have circulated in the shadows for years. These weren't just about policy. They were about the fundamental identity of the man himself. Damning accusations from a man named Larry Sinclair alleged a wild night in 1999 involving illegal substances and intimate encounters. While these claims were aggressively dismissed by the media as a smear campaign, they painted a portrait of a past that was far from the clean-cut image presented to the world.
Reports claim that senior Obama administration officials orchestrated the Russia collusion hoax, stating, out of respect for the office of the presidency, our office does not normally dignify the constant nonsense and misinformation flowing out of this White House with a response. And he called the allegations outrageous and ridiculous, a weak attempt of distraction. He said, nothing in the document issues last week undercuts the widely accepted conclusion that Russia worked to influence the 2016 election but did not successfully manipulate any votes.
More credible, perhaps, were the discoveries made by Pulitzer Prize-winning biographer David Garrow. In his exhaustive book, Rising Star, Garrow unearthed personal letters where a young Obama wrote to a girlfriend about his androgynous mind and admitted to having repeated fantasies of making love to men. This wasn't a rumor. It was a documented glimpse behind the curtain, revealing a hidden complexity the public was never meant to see. Even now, out of office, Obama's story is far from over. He hasn't retired to a quiet life of painting and reflection. Instead, he has repositioned himself as a kingmaker, the silent, brooding power behind the Democratic Party's throne, pulling strings from the comfort of his mansion.
Why would Barack Obama, and I'm sorry to be cynical, but I spent, all 8 years of his presidency in the United States watching carefully. Why would he tweet out like, it's a great thing that it's going to take days to find out who the new president is. Election workers are heroes. Respect them. Thank them. Don't share things before checking your sources. I'm trying not to use the F word on YouTube, but how dare you, Barack Obama, you liar, lecture me about accuracy, and then let the process run its course. It takes time to count every ballot. Well, not in India, it doesn't.
Oh, this came out today, though.
Yes,
I think it's clear why this.
The most explosive speculation comes from legendary investigative journalist Seymour Hersh. According to Hersh's inside sources, Obama is the architect of a stunning plan to have Joe Biden step aside. The alleged plot involves using a constitutional amendment to sideline the sitting president, with Obama having already delivered the message that his time is up. If true, he isn't just an influential voice. He's an active operator determining the nation's future. So what then is the real legacy of Barack Obama? It isn't hope and change. His legacy is a masterclass in modern political branding. He demonstrated that with enough charisma and a compliant media, style can completely eclipse substance. He took the existing system of power, gave it a beautiful new face, and sold it to the world as a revolution. And in doing so, he set the stage for everything that followed. By transforming the presidency into a celebrity spectacle built on image rather than results, he inadvertently paved the way for Donald Trump, a man who simply played the same game with a different brand. The truth is, for 8 years, America was mesmerized by a beautiful illusion. And now, the shine is gone, and we are left to grapple with the raw, unfiltered reality.